This week we're going to add the elevator, and we're going to start adding restrooms to our kind of core of our building here. Um, so let's start with the elevator. So this video will just be the elevator. I'm going to download or upload to Moodle all of the things that you need. So I'm going to just show you where I got them. So ThyssenKrupp is a elevator manufacturer. And if you go onto their website, you can actually download the families that they have um, for all their elevators. And if you scroll down, again, you don't have to go here. It's tkelevator.com, but you can go to their website, and most um, often the architect will use a ThyssenKrupp, but you can but they might give an alternate as well. Uh, Otis Elevator is another manufacturer, but they have all the information here and Revit families or CAD drawings so that you can download and incorporate them into your drawings. So in here, you can kind of just read through and get an idea of what elevator you'd want. So um, here it gives you just some basic information about the travel height, 60 feet. This one here, the Endura MRL, is a travel height of 33.5 feet, which would not work in our building, at least not for all the floors. And they have an Evolution series that goes up to 100 feet, and a Synergy goes 300 feet. They're given the max capacity and speed as well. And also they show here this Momentum that also goes 300 feet. For this, our building here, it just shows this one at 60 feet since our building um, is taller than this 33.5 feet elevator capacity, and the next one 100 feet would be more than we'd need. So I chose this Endura. Um, so once you've chosen your elevator, we can just hit this Discover More. And again, this is just show you where I got the information, and then we can get the models from here. So I got the products. I selected the get product drawings. So I want to use this type of elevator because we saw it could go up to 60 feet. And then here you can decide what type of elevator. And here there's also more information about what elevator uh, specifications there are, travel size, the type, machine room, and the max travel. And so I just clicked through to find the one that would be um, work for the building that we're using. So this one says the travel is 33 foot 6.5, but it could go up to 48. But I want to use this below ground because this travel is the 60 feet max. Speed, I don't really care about speed, so I just check 100. I mean, obviously, it's how fast the elevator goes up and down. Just a commercial office space, so it doesn't need to go super fast. I'm just going to use this kind of typical 2,500 pound um, elevator. I want it to be the center opening doors, and I want it to open in the front. So once you've selected all the parameters, then you can see here it says access your drawings. And so I've already downloaded these for you, and I put them on Moodle. So let's get the Moodle draw pulled up. So this will be, I'm going to download this elevator cut sheet, this elevator family instructions, the elevator, and the elevator door. And so we can get that by selecting the BIM files, and I did the seismic drawings PDF, which gave me this elevator cut sheet, which shows, so this is what the typical cut sheet for an elevator, but that when the contractor goes to actually install, they will do one that's specific for the building, but this is kind of like their generic cut sheet showing their minimum and maximum clearances and some information and section. so that information you can get online. The next PDF is just how to um, modify and what, how their family works. So they have a elevator family that has this elevator, and it also inserts with the controls, which will have to be in a separate room. And you can see all this information here that you can peruse. We'll go over some of this in this video following, but this is kind of showing you the different things and instructions they have already for you, so that it makes it pretty easy. And then the next thing would be this Revit family elevator, and you can just download that to wherever you store your Revit models. So I keep mine in architectural design folder under families, and this will go to specialty equipment. And I made a folder for elevators, and the Endura B2500 is here, and then the door is also here as well. So you can download both of those from Moodle. I'm not going to download it again. And then the elevator door, same thing. You download and put it into your the same whatever folder you put your elevator in. So once you've downloaded those, we can go ahead and get those inserted into our drawings. So before we do that, let's go ahead and open the PDF. So after you get that PDF downloaded, let's open up the PDF for the below ground, the one that says Endure Below Ground 2500. So get that downloaded in those Revit families, and then we'll open that up. So here we can see in this PDF, once it's opened, they're going to give us the dimensions that the walls have to be. So here, all these dimensions are the interior clearances they need for the elevator. But what we want to do is we want to draw these walls first, so that we can get the elevator put in there. So it's 8-foot floor, clear hoistway, and a 5'9". So let's move this over. Go to wall. And let's select our interior 2-hour rated 6 1/8 partition. And before we do that, let's edit the type and duplicate. And I believe we're going to make it an 8.5-inch partition. Yes. So we'll make it 8.5. Is that? No, we will want it to be 7 1/4. Bear with me here while I figure this out. And we'll call it shaft partition in 2-hour. And I'll show you what we'll mean here. So we're going to make this a 6-inch stud. Actually, let's make this a 5-inch space here. I'm going to delete these two interior layers of the 5/8, and I'm going to insert another layer, and going to make that 1 inch. I'm going to try to move this up into the core boundary, and I'll show you why. I don't know if it'll let me. It will. That's awesome. So 7 1/4 inch. So what a shaft wall is. A shaft wall is a wall that's designed to be installed from one side. So as you can see, I have this 1-inch layer. I'm going to change this category here. Let's change that to gypsum wallboard. So we'll have a 1-inch layer. a 1/2 inch layer, and then 2 5/8 inch layers. Let me pull up, let's see. So what a shaft wall is it's a rated assembly that allows you to install um, from one side. So if you're making a shaft where you're not going to be able to access the inside, you'll use a shaft wall, which will have a 1 inch core board, which will be rated, and it will, let's see where to go. There we go. So here's what a shaft board looks like, or shaft wall. So there are these studs where you can install the gypboard on this outside layer, but the stud has a little 1 inch channel here that you can install this core board, or here they're calling a 1 inch gypsum liner panel, so that if you're making a rectangle that you can't get on the inside, or any element where you can't get on the inside of the wall to finish the framing, you can use this shaft board, which will allow you to install this shaft layer on this side and be able to do everything from the exterior. And here it's just showing the different shaft configurations. And here's a section of it. So this is a shaft stud. The core board will go onto this side and then on this side, and then you'll put your gypboard on this outside layer here. And this will be the end metal studs. And here's another, if you have a rated ceiling assembly. These are all on pages 369, 368 that are showing this shaft wall assembly. So you can see here, this would be the interior of your shaft. In this area, it's a rated ceiling. So they can use these for ceilings and duct enclosures. So like if you have to have a rated duct enclosure, you would use a shaft bottom or a shaft ceiling, which would just be a shaft assembly on the horizontal. And so here you can see they got 2 layers of gypboard, and then the CH stud, and then the 1 inch liner goes in here. And here's a vertical section. Often this will be this kind of assembly here. It will be floor to floor, and they have this little gypboard angle here that you would install before you sealed it up, just so that nothing can sit on that ledge. You can see the 2 layers out here, and then this layer of shaft core board. So here's some other. So we're going to use this at our elevator, so that um, obviously they won't be able to finish off the inside of the elevator very easily. So that's what we're making here. We're making this a 6 inch shaft wall where they have the 5 inch stud and then the 1 inch depth for the core board. And we can hit OK. And we named it 7 1/4 shaft interior shaft partition, which lines up with our width on the overall width of this wall. And then so going back to our elevator, you can see we've got an 8'4" by 5'9" wall to wall. So let's make that. So we can actually just hit this rectangle tool up here, and let's just put it off to the side here. So we need it to be 8'4" wide by 5'9". And you can get it close and just use the temporary dimensions to fix the walls to be exactly. So if you zoom in, you should have the detail level set to medium or fine, and you can see the 2 layers here, and this 5 inch represents the CH stud, and this 1 inch layer represents the core board. So now we'll insert our elevator. If we go to Insert, Load Family, And we'll go to wherever you saved your the ones you just downloaded from Moodle. So I saved mine into Revit files under my architectural design folder. Families, specialty equipment, and elevators. And we'll go to the Endura B2500 and we'll insert, you can actually insert both of these at the same time. So one is the actual elevator family and the other one is just the door that will be in the wall. You hit open and it loads those families in. It's saying that it'll upgrade, it's being upgraded. So whatever, often when you download these from manufacturer sites, they've made their family, here back in 2016. So, or at least using the Revit 2016 version. So it doesn't usually take, very long to upgrade. And if I've already loaded these, so I'll overwrite the existing. But so you can just load in those families. And then now to actually put them in the model, you can go to the Architecture tab and go to Component and place a component. And components that are not part of the beams and the other buttons that we have here, like doors, walls, columns. If you just go to place component, pretty much all other families will be in here: furniture, specialty equipment, and some other things here. So we want the front opening only, center opening, evolution. Oh, nope, sorry. We want the Endura B2500, 3'6" front opening, center opening. And what you want to do is place it on the southernmost wall. And we can see it's actually a little bit bigger than the clear space that we put. So let's get our align tool. So go to modify and align, or just hit AL for align. And select you can see that there's an outline all around of the elevator that you inserted. So you can select that line from the elevator family and then align our walls to it. Oops, undo, accidentally aligned something else. AL to align, pick the elevator boundaries, and then align our walls. So when we pick our walls, it should be, or pick our elevator, the highlighted blue line should be at the face of the shaft walls that we just drew. All right, so once you got that in, make sure that, so we're going to need to create an elevator room next to it. So go ahead and select the elevator, and then you can see these little flip parameters here. So you will hit the one on the right to flip the elevator room to this side. And then you can kind of see, if you want to play around with the other flipping parameters, see how it, what they do. But what we want is the door to be on this side, on the south side. Or actually, this is the south. This is not the south side. This is the west side, but the down on the model, or at least south in the way you're looking at it. South would be to the right, technically, but you want the elevator door, and if you hover over it, you can kind of see the elevator door here, and you want that to be facing down or west. So the next thing we're going to want to do is I want to select the wall and the elevator. I'm just going to move it over slightly so that I can create this elevator room. And I'm actually going to move it down a little bit as well. And to move it down, I can just grab and hold it. What I'm trying to fix here is these these dashed lines, so the elevator room clearances. So this is what they need to be in here to operate the elevator equipment if need be. So we can take this stairwell and we can trim and extend it to this shaft wall. So you can just select the edge of the shaft and trim that wall to it. And then let's draw a wall. We're going to right click on this wall that we already have for the stair, create similar, and we'll draw a wall in the back here. I'm going to hit AL for a line and align it with the face of this shaft wall that we just drew. I'm going to right click this wall though at the end where the grip is and say disallow join, and I'm going to trim extend to the face of the shaft wall, and then I'm going to trim extend to the stair wall to create our elevator room. I'm going to select this wall we drew before, right click on that as well, create similar, and then we'll create a little return wall here. I'm going to align the face of this wall with the face of the shaft wall. I'm going to pick this little end of wall here again. Right click on that little round grip and disallow join. And trim to the face there. Now I'm going to add a door to this room as well. So I can select this door we already have. Select similar, just like we did for the walls, but with a door, and put a door into this room. I'm going to throw some dimensions on here just to make sure so that we have round numbers. Nobody likes 30 seconds. So we can throw some dimensions on here just so we can adjust this room as needed. So I'm going to make this width of this room 8'6" to the outside. Actually, I'm going to check the interior. Let's make the interior of this room 8'6", just to give enough space to work around in here. I'm going to hold control and select these four walls around the elevator itself, and then this little return wall. I'm going to come up to the top right or top left and hit activate dimension so that I can pick inside this dimension and type 8'6". You can see it moved all of these elements. I am also going to, let's make this a nice square 8'6" room, interior to interior. So we'll select these four walls, the elevator, and then this upper wall. Select activate dimension, and then 8'6" again. Let's trim extend to this corner again. Since this wall is not joined, we'll have to extend these walls to meet. And we'll leave that as 2 6 3/4. That should be fine. All right, now we've got an elevator and an elevator room with a door. Next thing, let's add our elevator door here. Now, if you go to door, it's not going to show up. So we only have this single flush door. What we'll want to do is go to the component, pick down, and the elevator door is actually a specialty equipment. So we're going to hit the center opening here under entrance, And we'll want to hover over the wall until the door, you can see the door side is on the interior side of the elevator, and it's roughly centered in the wall. If you can get it perfect on the just by kind of hovering over and using the dimensions, that's great, but I would suggest also checking. And if you didn't quite get it, you can align the center of the elevator and the center of the door will give you a center grip if you try to align it. All right, so now we have an elevator. Let's take a section through there and we'll adjust it further. I'm going to change my depth, my far clip offset for my section that I already have to 1 foot. I'm going to take the section I have on this side, just drag it all the way across. So I've got a full building section, and we'll drag it to the middle of this elevator. You can right click, say go to view. And as you can see, we have an elevator. So let's select our crop region and pull it up so that we can see all of our building. And we'll pull it down so we can see the extent of the elevator. So it's got this long piston that will go into the ground. And now we can see we have a section through our elevator, but it doesn't actually go all the way to the top. So we'll change that now. So if you select the elevator, and then go to your properties palette, where it says net travel, we can change that to 36 feet, which that'll be the 4th floor. And you can see the Revit family for the elevator adjusts so that it's now that full height of our building. And if you scroll down, I don't think this changes anything in the family, but you can change the minimum travel to 12 feet and max travel to 36. I think that's all we'll change on this elevator. Let's check out the section going the other way. It looks good. Let's change our walls though so that they're -6 inches below the slab before we get too far here. So I can just hover over this elevator wall, hit tab, and then pick and select this chain of walls. I'm going to do the same thing with these other 2 walls that we selected, holding control, and give it a -6-inch top offset like the other walls. So if we go back to our section, we'll see that the walls stop at the bottom of the deck instead of going into it. Let's adjust our section here. Alrighty. So we've adjusted the height. We've created this elevator room, added a door, added the elevator door. Let's also add a shaft. Thinking about it later, we changed the profile on the floor, but there's another to get like the stair opening. But there's another way to go about this that might be easier. So we have our elevator here. We can come up here to architecture and then go to opening and select shaft. And we can draw a rectangle around our elevator. And then if we look at our documentation, the elevator will actually need to be 4 foot depth at the bottom for the elevator to function. So you need a 4 foot elevator pit. which is pretty typical. So we're going to give this base constraint level 1. I'm going to give it a negative 4 feet, and then tell it to go up to level 4. And then so that should cut a hole in our slab all the way up from level 1, where we have the elevator starts, all the way up to level 4. And what you're seeing here is the structural model. So if I were to hide that, you can see that this shaft is in place here and is cutting through all 4 of these floors, which will be a lot better than using that profile. As a matter of fact, we should probably change our profile for our stair. But either way, using the shaft or cutting it in the boundary is either way is acceptable. But I think using this shaft, it'll be easier for us to move it around. So now if I were to copy this shaft, it's going to copy this opening wherever else I want it. So I think we're good here. So let's select this top wall, all 4 elevator walls. Select this little return wall and the elevator and this elevator door and this door here. Actually, it does not copy this door yet. So just this wall, all 4 elevator shaft walls, the elevator door, the elevator itself, and this little return wall. And then we'll mirror by selecting an axis, and we'll select this middle grid line. That will mirror everything over. And oops, I think I forgot to mirror that shaft we were just talking about. So you can tab in and get that shaft opening and mirror. And now we've got our shaft over here as well. I'm going to turn the structure back on by right-clicking on Hide and View Elements. I hit it manually. And so now we can see that we've got an elevator on both sides. We've got the shaft, we've got the walls, the elevator room. Now all we need to do is just mirror this door and trim this wall. So we'll trim the corner. So fillet. I keep mentioning when talking to some of you guys that it's kind of confusing. This trim extend corner really should be called fillet, because that's what it's kind of what it does. It's basically fillets more like AutoCAD than a trim corner makes sense, but it brings up, if you've used AutoCAD a lot, that the trim extend is more like the trim extend in AutoCAD. This is more like the fillet command. Except I don't think you can actually apply a radius when you do the fillet. It would have to be afterwards. All right, so now we've got our elevator room on both sides. Let's do another thing here on our level 1 floor plan. So we've got our shaft through here. Let's create the elevator floor, or for the pit. So we have a 4-foot depth for the elevator pit. So we'll create that right now. So we can go to architecture. Let's go to floor. Yeah, we can just pick structural floor. And we'll just draw a rectangle around this elevator. Give it a negative 4-foot offset. Make sure that it is the slab on grade. And then hit OK. Now if we go through our section, we've got our slab here. And we'll draw some walls here to be the concrete walls for our elevator pit. So let's just draw 6-inch concrete walls for our pit. So let's go back to our level 1 floor plan, go to wall. Let's look for 6-inch concrete to see if we already have it. We have 8-inch concrete. Let's start with that. Edit type, duplicate, 6-inch concrete. We're going to change to 6-inch concrete in the structure. Cast in place gray is fine. Hit OK, hit OK. So now we're going to give it, so we'll go up to level 1. We're going to give the base offset -4 feet. So level 1, -4, up to level 1, and we'll make that 0. So basically we'll do a 4-foot wall that's starting at -4 feet, and we'll draw our walls. Let's see, finish face. Interior is probably fine. We'll find out once we draw it. It's going to tell us that it's not going to show up, which is correct. And let's go to our section. And now we've got our walls, but let us, we're going to want these walls to actually flip around. So the other side, so you can select all these walls, hit the space bar so that they flip around, so that they, if you go in section, you can see they're lined up with the opening. Let me hide this structural model, and actually, let's go back to our 3D view, select all these walls again, go back to our section. Instead of 4 feet, let's give the top offset a -6 inches. And let's change the profile of our elevator pit and extend it 6 inches. So let's go to select that in the section view. Let's edit the boundary. We can actually hit offset. Change that to 6 inches. And then hit OK. And don't attach. Now if we go back, we've got our elevator pit here. While we are at it, actually I'm going to turn our structure back on for now. Right click, unhide and view elements. So I'm going to make a pad here underneath our building so that we can get our grade, our concrete up here, or our earth below up to match the concrete. So let's go to our site plan. Let's see, I'm going to go to manage links. I'm going to unload this image so it unloads it. I don't have to see it. I'm going to go to massing and site. I'm going to select building pad here in the middle. And I'm just going to pick all the walls to place this building pad. Oops, actually go ahead and stop. Let's I'm going to use the little arrow tool guy so I can get exactly that. I want the face of these of the building. As you can see, it was like putting it in the center of this our other wall. Ain't nobody got time for that. Let's trim corner here as we go around this foundation. And do the same thing on the other side. back to pick the walls. And then when you're done, you can hit OK. So what that should do is give us a building pad around our foundation, or around our building here. So it moves the earth underneath up to where the building is. I'm going to give that a -6 from the top of our building here. And I'm going to do something else. I'm going to actually add, I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to edit in the site plan again. I'm going to add an interior rectangle here at that shaft wall. Oops. By picking the face of the shaft stud here. Let's bring over our section. We can see these side by side. So I basically created a hole here for our elevator. I'm going to edit the boundary, copy this over to the other one while I remember. And then I'm going to create the slab again, the building pad. I'm going to pick a line, and this time I'm going to do -4 feet. Actually, -4'6". And I'm going to add another building pad, but just to be below the elevator. Let's copy this over. Oops. This over a little further and hit OK. Oops, it's telling me I think I've got to create this in. So I'm going to Control X this, hit OK. So we got a building pad underneath here. I'm actually just going to, in the section view, just copy this over just a few feet. Edit boundary. Delete it. Go to paste. Align to current view. And then, so just a quick, just a recap what I just did. So I initially tried to draw, because you can see how I want. So when I draw these building pads, we will go to the site plan, and it causes it to raise or lower the building grade to be with the bottom of the pad. So I did that so that then the building would be up here, or the grade would be up here next to the building, but where I have my elevator pit, I don't want all this earth hatch pattern to be inside this elevator pit. So what I did was draw these building pads, which raise that up. But I cut out a hole in the center. And so here, if we select this first building pad, you can see I did the exterior of the building, but then I cut out a hole basically in the middle because I wanted a building pad that then would be -4 feet. So then I drew a second building pad, which is here, which is underneath this first elevator. I initially tried to draw both boundaries in one, but it told me that you can't do that. Basically, you got to have one continuous boundary. So what I did was I Control X or cut the boundary from this side, so I didn't have to redraw it again. Went back in, I Control cut the boundary on this side. Then I hit the green check. And then I just copied over this one. Here, I'll delete this one so I can do it again. Then in the section view, I hit copy up here and just drag it over. So I've got this one. It's only a little ways over. But if I were to edit this boundary now, you can see where I copied it over. It's this one here that I copied over. You can see it in section. I actually delete that. Come over here to paste and align to current view. And it pasted the second one I drew that wasn't letting me draw it in that, in the same slab as the other one, so that I was able to then not have to redraw it. I could just cut it out and then paste the line to the same place. And now I've got both of these building pads here. And while I'm looking at it, let's copy the walls from this other one as well. So let's copy these walls. Actually, I'm going to go to my 3D view and look from underneath. I can hit tab. And let's go to level 1 floor plan. Copy. So I'm selecting these concrete walls below the slab. I'm going to the elevator and just copying them straight across. So now if I go to my section view, you can see them in this view now. And it looks like I need to move them a little bit more. Oops. If you lose a selection, you can try to right click and select previous to give you this next selection, the previous selection. And here I can move them over. And I think I need to do the same thing with this lower slab on grade. I'll copy that over here as well. Alrighty, so let's go to I'm going to go to my 3D view just to make sure I've got all the components. I'm going to change the discipline to structural over here on the properties palette. And I'm going to turn off topography. I can just quickly right click on this, hide and view by category. And those walls that I drew are probably architectural, so they're not showing up. I'm going to change this back to architectural. So, yeah, I can see that I've got this little elevator sump pit below on both of these. Got the pad, got the concrete walls, and I think we're good to go. I think the last thing we need to do in here is this will be the same all the way up. So let's copy these walls, the elevator wall, and the door here on both sides, just by tabbing, holding control, and selecting all the different elements. Now we can hit Control C, or come up here and just hit copy to clipboard. And then we'll hit the little arrow below paste and align to selected levels. And we'll go 2 through 4 and hit OK. Oops. I'm going to undo that because we don't need to we don't need to select the elevator. No, that's my bad. Just the walls. Elevator's already going up all the floors. Actually, is the control room only on the first floor? I think it is. So we may just need to copy this elevator and not the actual control room. So we'll hit Control C or copy to clipboard up here, paste, align to selected levels, and 2 through 4. Alrighty, so let's go to level 4. Select the walls on level 4, and let's make those instead of -6 from the top offset, -1.5 inches, so that our walls go up to the bottom of that deck. Alright, I think that's looking good. Let's go back to our 3D view. Check stuff out in a 3D view, making sure that it's looking okay. We can change that back to architectural or coordination. I'm going to hit RH or go to this close or reveal hidden elements. At the bottom, that's how you can see things that have been hidden. So I hid the topography. We can actually just unhide and view category if you hit it as well. And anything else that you've manually hitting by right clicking and selecting hide and view by element. So what I'm going to do next, I just would like to, want to check out our elevators. Make sure everything's looking okay. And I'll select this selection box tool so I can get a section of just our elevators. Looks good to me. It's a nice thing about having these pre-done families because you know that these are done by the manufacturer. So you know that what's going to be installed is going to be very similar to what we're showing here. Because this is a manufacturer that is often used, ThyssenKrupp. ThyssenKrupp, Otis, and I'm sure there's other ones, but those are the ones that I hear of often. Okay, so after we've done that, we've got our elevator in, got our doors, got our elevator machine room. Let us save this, and then we'll close and open our structural model. And you don't have to close the entire thing. You can see I was just closing the tabs, and if you close the last tab, it will close the entire project. So we'll go to architectural, Revit files. Let's open our structural model now. See here it's telling us there's an instance that needs coordination review because we copy monitored our architectural model, so it's a notification that's telling us that hey, the Revit link has been changed, and so here it's telling you that this is what's been changed, just so you know that you should go in and check and back check your Revit model that's linked in to see what has changed. So we can go to our level 2 structural plan, and we can see the changes that we made in our model are showing up. And let's see, let's go to our collaborate tab. Let's do coordination review and select link and see what it tells us. So we can select our architectural model, and here it's telling us there's new opening in the concrete slab. And so here we can see what changes have been made. And now theoretically, I think, and I did this with somebody else as well, I think ideally you should be able to select copy new elements, and it should copy in the new elements that have changed, and it lets you select each one. I believe we tried before, nothing happened. Oh wait, instead of accept difference, I think I want to move level to top of parapet. And we'll hit apply and we'll see what happens. It's just saying coordination monitor alert. It's saying that there is a new opening detected, so let's hit OK and see what happens. Let's go to our 3D view. And lo and behold, it actually did copy those shaft openings in. It did not, however, copy those. Oh, maybe it did, and we're just not seeing them. Hold on. I was thinking that it did not copy those, the new concrete slab on grade, but I don't think it did. But that's okay. Those will be pretty easy to add. So let's go to our level 2. Let's cut a section through the same areas that we cut on the architectural model. And check things out here. I'm going to go to my view graphics, change my Revit link to an underlay in this section. So yeah, it doesn't look like it copied those. It seemed like it did copy the shaft opening just fine. And it did move my top of parapet up to 55 feet, which is good. But it did not copy those, the concrete walls and the slab. But probably because we didn't copy the concrete wall. So we did copy monitor these slabs. So probably just didn't want to add these new ones, but that's okay. I'm going to just, what I can do is we can go back to, let's go to our 3D view. Let's turn back our Revit link, our architectural model. Hit OK. And we can actually tab in here. Actually, hold on. Let's go to copy monitor again. Select the link. Select the architectural link. Hit copy. And let's go to options. Go to floors. Make sure slab on grade is still changed to selected to slab on grade. Let's go to walls. And where it says 6-inch concrete walls, let's change that to, it was going to copy it in as a generic 8, but we want it to copy it in as its original type. Hit OK. Hit copy again, multiple, and we can select, hold control to select multiple, select these elements that we want to copy in. The floor. and the 4 walls around it for the elevator pit. Just going to go to filter to make sure I've got 8 walls and 2 floors. I do. I can hit finish. And it's copied them in. You can see the little copy monitor sign on here, and finish again. And now they should be live in our model. If we go back to our section, we can see it's cut a hole in our floors. And it's copied in the walls and the concrete. Yeah, what's going on over here? So yeah, in the next video, let's clean up some of this structure. It's going over an hour now, so I think I better cut this one short. We can come in here and add clean up these beams. It look like I've still got some beams sticking out of the concrete. As you know, it's kind of frustrating sometimes, but welcome to the wide world of drafting. Let's see. This one should be 1.5. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Those are showing that they're floating into the slab. They don't appear to be in the section. Could just be a graphics thing. Yep, because now they're not. I think it's just a graphics thing. I did fix that one. But we'll add some beams to go around the stair and some beams to go around our elevators, as the elevator will not be able to cut through these. We'll take care of that in the next video. This is a lot for this video, I think. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.